the Pac-12 announced, along with the rest of the Power 5 conferences, it's all first and second teams. And although Arizona led the Pac-12 in rushing offense, led the a number of offensive categories, was prolific. There were no Arizona players on the first and second teams in the coaches or the AP on the offensive side. So you're not real happy about that.
The all second team, the AP voted on the all second team. They had 3 or 4 guys. Nathan Eldridge, I think Kylan Wilborn, a couple people on the second team, and then Khalil Tate got most newcomer of the year. But the Pac-12, the head coaches, so the Pac-12 media voted Khalil Tate 4 weeks in a row Pac-12 offensive player of the week. So he is the first one who's ever had 4 consecutive awards in that category. And then a couple of our guys Colin Schuler got defensive player of the week once. He ended up with, I think, 88 tackles for the season. But we're talking on the offense. The offense had the most yards total rushing as a team by 600 yards. And like you said, they had other statistics in there as well. But for 4 or 5 weeks in October, early November, there wasn't a media person in the nation that didn't have Khalil Tate on their tongue, or talking about him, or talking about how they, Neuheisel said he couldn't even show a highlight because the Pac-12 and ESPN had those rights and they weren't going to buy the rights, so they couldn't talk about Khalil Tate. So anyway, the Pac-12 head coaches had 6 honorable mentions, including Khalil, Jacob Alsadek. I mean, there had to be a reason they were the number 1 rushing offense in the Pac-12. You can't have a quarterback have that many yards and not have a good O-line to help him out. So everybody stepped up, yet none of them made the first and second team. And they all spoke out about it. Jacob spoke out about it at a press conference after practice, and he just couldn't believe it. And then Khalil, I think he tweeted something about no respect. And then the basketball team chimed in and started, I think it was Parker Jackson Cartwright or somebody chimed in about it. So the basketball team and the football team have been getting pretty close lately because Khalil came and sat in the front row of the basketball game. So it's kind of fun now that they're all getting along. But so Khalil spoke out, Jacob spoke out, Rich Rod said something. It would have been nice. You would think if you had the best rushing offense, and everybody thought we were going to be 3-9, and we ended up 7-5. So I don't know. I mean, 4 consecutive Player of the Week awards.
So, Serene, when a team gets left out of the NCAA basketball tournament,
yeah,
there's always a number of people that say they should have been in, they should have been in, they should have been in. But then you have to, in turn, say who shouldn't have been in.
Right.
So you're making the case for Khalil Tate, and Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen were first and second team in both the AP and the coaches, first and second team offense. And so you think Khalil Tate should be in on the second team above Josh Rosen.
So what was Josh Rosen's record? What was that UCLA's record?
What was the team's record? They were 6-6.
6-6. So Khalil played less games and had his Tate and the Arizona team ended up with a 7-5 record. So even
you're telling me that Manny Wilkins of Arizona State, because they finished second place in the Pac-12 South at 6-3, that he should have been on the second team.
Where did his yards end up? Did he break records? Did he have
going by your reasoning of the record?
Did he have the most rushing records of any quarterback ever in a game? Did he break any records? Does that count for anything?
All right. I saw Khalil Tate play 1 full game. That was the USC game. He looked really good, especially in the second half when he brought back the Wildcats. They were down by 3 scores. They made it very interesting midway through the fourth quarter. I know that he had an exceptional season running the ball.
Right.
It's a quarterback position. He threw 9 touchdowns.
Right. But if you look at his
8 interceptions.
Right,
That's
but
not
there
very
were
good.
games where he completed 9 of 13 passes. Like, he was very efficient most of the time. And a lot of the times there was some missed calls on some of the passes. There was a lot of pass interference, we felt, in the Arizona State game and some in Oregon, I think it was Oregon, that, just wasn't called. So, but, yeah, no, they didn't pass the ball because they could run the ball. That doesn't mean their offensive line isn't good, because the offensive line allowed all that rushing for J.J. Taylor, for Zach, Green.
So the offensive line argument I can take a little bit more than Khalil Tate, because you have 5 on the first team, you've got 5 on the second team. So you're selecting 10 offensive linemen, which makes sense because that's representative of the teams and the number of players on the field, and to have the number 1 rushing offense in the conference, and they might have led the conference in points. I don't know. I haven't looked at it. I know that they would be right up there with Oregon, USC, some other teams in scoring. So they're right up there in offense, total offense, rushing offense, and scoring. That it takes every position to make that happen, and them rushing the ball better than anyone. Well, I don't want to say better. They rushed the ball more than anyone, and they were successful. They also did run the ball more than anyone to accumulate those 600 yards. But I'm going to side more with you concerning the offensive line than I will Khalil Tate.
Okay. Well, either way, you would think one player would make first or second team. One. Look, if those Sun Devils, and we call them something else, they had 3 players that made first or second team, I'm sure you're going to find an Oregon State player on there, but you're not going to find one Arizona player. And that just is kind of stunning to me, especially when everybody thought they'd go 3-9.
Well, N'Keal Harry, who caught 73 passes for 1,000 yards from Arizona State, he's on the first team. There are 2 Utah players, and the Utes had relatively speaking, they had a down season for them, but they still made it 6-6 and made it to a bowl game. So they're only 1 game behind Arizona overall. And they had Darren Carrington and an offensive lineman make it. UCLA was more represented as a team that only went 6-6 and lost to Arizona head-to-head.
The Golden School. Don't forget that Rich Rod had never beaten Morris UCLA Bruins, and this was the first time in all the years that Rich Rod was there that we beat the Bruins, and we beat them decisively. And most of that was because of the offense.